Do you have the skills to pay the bills? Gravel racing, it can get pretty intense. Every time you go uphill, you have to go downhill again too. And if you're trying to go as fast as possible, the worst thing is to be limited by your descending or cornering skills. So that's what we're gonna cover today, how to quickly and safely conquer corners and descents on your gravel bike. Let's start with the 6 key tips that we're gonna cover. 1, look where you're trying to go. 2, keep your chest low. 3, relax your hands. 4, lean the bike under you. 5, drop your outside foot. And 6, try to do all your braking before the turn. We're gonna break each of these tips down a little more, but before we do, don't forget that we have a special coupon code that is good until Unbound starts this year. It'll be right here and it'll get you $50 off in order of $200 or more at theproscloset.com, so be sure to check that out. Number 1, look where you want to go. The worst thing you can do is stare at the ground right in front of your wheel. What you want to do is lift your head and look toward the exit of the corner or to the entry of the next corner. If you can lift your head and peek ahead, it'll give your brain more data, and the farther you can look ahead, the slower things will seem, which will make stuff seem less scary and let you go faster. When we stare at stuff, we tend to target fixate. So if it's a rock in the trail, a rut, or maybe it's the edge of the road where it drops off, if you end up staring at that, you're gonna ride right into it. So what we wanna do is actually turn our head and look where we want to go. And there's another aspect of this that's really important, and that's hard versus soft focus. When we have hard focus, we're staring really intently at things. What's better is actually soft focus, where you stare at nothing, but you see everything. This lets you take in all the data from the road around you and process it and stay aware. Now, if you're really worried about something that might be right in front of you, what I suggest, keep track of it with your peripheral vision. If you really have to look at it, do it quickly, and then lift your head back up and scan ahead. The more you can keep scanning ahead, the better your cornering will be. Number 2, keep your chest low. When riders get nervous, they tend to want to push their head away from danger. And that puts you in an upright position or in a back seat position where you have less control over the bike. What you want to do instead is actually focus on keeping your chest low and closer to the bars. What this will do, it'll also weight the front end of your bike, which gives your front wheel more traction. This will prevent it from washing out, which will give you a lot more confidence and speed. It also gives your upper body more room to move and react to the terrain changing beneath you, which will also keep you in control. Now, you don't want to just bend over and lean all your weight on your hands. And we're going to talk more about this in the next tip. But what you want to actually do is hinge at your hips. You want to push your hips and butt back and lean your torso forward so it's flat. That's how you keep your chest low, and you're actually supporting most of your weight on your feet using your hamstrings and glutes. This will actually keep your quads fresher too, and it'll keep you in a nice balanced and controlled position. So this leads me into my next point. 3, relax your hands. You don't want to death grip your bars while you're descending. Not only does this waste energy, but it also creates tension throughout your upper body. Now, to go fast and be safe on descents, you need to find like a level of flow. And tension is the enemy of flow. So what you want to do is try to consciously relax your hands and grip your bars lightly. If you're a mountain biker, you've probably heard heavy feet, light hands, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Keeping your hands light and your feet heavy actually centers your weight between the wheels too, which is a safer position with more control. 4, lean the bike under you. When you're cornering on a road bike, you generally try to lean with the bike to maximize traction. But when you're on loose or sketchy off-road terrain, what you actually want to do is try to lean the bike more than your body. Another way to say this is to lean the bike under you. What this does is it pushes the cornering knobs on the edge of your tire harder into the ground, increasing traction. It also does another thing. It keeps your upper body nice and loose, which allows you to react to terrain changing beneath you, and it also makes it easier to save your bike if it starts to slide. 5, drop your outside foot. If you're trying to survive a loose or sketchy turn, drop your outside foot and try to put as much weight into that outside foot as you can. If you're a skier, it's a lot like weighting your outside ski to make a turn. This not only lowers your center of gravity, but it also weights the cornering knobs on your tire so you have more traction. And also it puts you in a position where it's easier to pull your inside foot out and dab if you need to save a slide. 6, do most of your braking before turns. Your tires only have so much traction to give. When you start cornering, you have less available grip to dedicate to braking. So you ideally want to do most of your braking where your bike is straight up and down, and then let go when you're entering the turn so that you have the most traction possible for cornering. If you're learning, the way to do this is to slow down before corner until there's no apprehension and you're confident that you can make it through the corner without touching your brakes. If you do this, you're less likely to need to panic brake in the middle of a turn, which is a great way to lose traction, slide, and crash. If you do need to brake or slow down in the middle of a corner, I really suggest using your rear brake over your front brake because your rear wheel sliding and losing traction is a lot easier to save than the front wheel. Now that we know these 6 top tips, how do we actually practice them? The best way to do this is to find a gravel descent with corners where you can session these corners over and over again and work on these skills until you have them mastered. You can do this on an easy day, a recovery day, or if you have some hill repeats that you can do it on a hill repeat day and focus on descending every time you come back down. Now we talked about braking before corners, but another great thing we want to practice is just braking as little as possible. Riders who are really fast and competent descenders, they're fast because they brake less than other riders. And when they brake, they do it later and they do it harder. So they're spending more time at speed. Now you can sort of practice this by just on descents trying to brake less and less. If you are spending every descent dragging your brakes the whole way down, you're never gonna learn how to let go of the brakes. So what you wanna do is consciously start letting them go. And a great way to do this is just on a straight descent, try to just go down with no brakes for as long as you can until you get comfortable just bombing down the whole thing completely off of brakes. Then you can start applying that to descents with a few corners, braking later and later until you gain more confidence. If you want something super easy, you can even try some simple parking lot drills, maybe with some cones. You can set these cones up as a slalom, or you can make a situation where you have to make a figure 8. Now you don't even need a lot of speed to do drills. Really the main thing these can let you practice is leaning the bike under you and looking ahead to where you want to go. And those two, you can really hone in on these sort of easy parking lot drills and really create this sort of disconnection between your body and bike and get really loose and comfortable with cornering. For me though, the best way to get really confident handling your gravel bike is to ride single track trails. These are often more technical and they force you to get really loose on the bike and really apply all of these tips and skills that we've talked about. This also teaches you another really essential skill, and that is getting beat up. If you can find single track trails that are rough, rocky, and technical, they can really hammer your body, and what it can teach you is how to relax over this sort of terrain. Unbound has a lot of really rough terrain, and if you're tense, you're gonna take a lot of that impact and it's gonna really fatigue you. So if you can learn to relax by riding rough terrain at home, it can really pay dividends in a rough race like Unbound gravel. We've already talked about relaxing your hands, but ultimately to become really competent as a descender, you just need to relax your entire body. Remember, we said tension is the enemy of flow, and if you can relax, it's easier to find a flow state where you can go fast and be safe. Do you know what else helps you relax? Being prepared for any mechanical. Which is why next time we're gonna go over the repair kit that I'm carrying on my bike, plus all the tools and spares that'll be with my support crew at Unbound Gravel. Hopefully you stick around, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go keep testing my aero bar setup for the race.